Let's be frank here, modern gaming is kind of a scam. There's countless examples of AAA studios making insane promises just to then deliver half-baked, barely functional pieces of software filled with microtransactions and FAQs to the player. And especially when talking about live service games, I haven't really been able to enjoy them since like this became the standard. So understandably when Helldivers 2 came out I was pretty skeptical, you know, there's realistically no way this random game is that good. I fell in love with the game. Yup, I love the gameplay loop, the setting, the feeling of being a part of an actual war. I love the community, I love the memes, I love no, not you. Get out. And I like to call it a perfectly flawed video game because it's far from being devoid of any issues, it's actually pretty goddamn broken sometimes. Yet, despite its numerous problems, it's genuinely one of the most fun video games I've ever played and one of the few games that's ever had me logging in almost every single day. And I think my love for the game stems from the fact that everything about it has the movement of your character that allows you to dive in any direction, you know, that thing Call of Duty devs are trying to make you think is some kind of brand new revolutionary technology, yeah that. The stratagem system which has you perform rhythm game combos to call in orbital strikes that will inevitably blow up your friends.
What the shit?
The weapons that actually behave like real guns while still managing to be unique, striking this perfect mix of realism and fun. The great sound design that makes you feel like you're actually at war. All this relatively simple stuff that when layered together creates these unscripted gameplay moments that happen organically and make the game just naturally cinematic. When you're defending the extraction point from hordes of enemies by way of liberty and 500kg bombs, it feels like an actual movie scene. The game is also incredibly replayable with different kinds of missions and loadouts changing drastically how the game feels. There's a huge variety of different weapons, stratagems, drip, boosters, with some give you more ammo, more stamina, or my personal favorite, drugs. All of this and more, which keeps the game fresh and encourages you to experiment with different builds. This is also thanks to the incredibly well-designed enemies that synergize perfectly with the core gameplay mechanics. Except this guy, he sucks. With different enemy factions feeling almost like completely different games. Debugs are relentless and never give you time to breathe. The sheer number of them can overpower even the most competent team. And once you drop in on a bug planet, prepare to fight for the next 30 minutes straight until you're fully covered in bug goo and the blood of your fallen comrades. That is assuming you don't first get melted by acid, cut in half, crushed by a 20 feet tall bug, sniped from across the map by one of these creatures of Satan, snack upon by invisible bugs, and most importantly, oh for fuck's sake. The Terminids pretty much require you to bring stratagems and equipment that can deal with a large number of enemies, with fire being one of the most effective ways to deal with them, and the amount of serotonin I get from mindlessly pointing a flamethrower on a bug bridge and seeing the kill count go up is unfortunately not imitable by alcohol. On the other hand, D-bots, also known as the objectively superior faction, require a much more methodical and calculated approach, where the Terminids reward crowd control and kiting the horde, the automatons reward stealth, the use of cover and precision weapons. A lot of the times the best approach is just to quickly move from outpost to outpost, dropping airstrikes, trying to remain undetected like a I cannot say that. And the planet you're fighting on can change drastically how you approach them, with planets with thick vegetation providing you a lot more cover, allowing you to stay hidden, and more flat planets allowing you to take them out from a distance. And vice versa. And the moments where you're forced to fight feel like actual war, with red lasers, rockets and artillery flying everywhere as you try to use every small rock as cover. The direct approach you'd take with the bugs wouldn't work here because they're just gonna overwhelm you with their superior firepower, which makes strategy essential when fighting the automatons. These two enemy factions perfectly complete the already great core gameplay aspects, which creates this gameplay loop that I absolutely love. But the thing is, Helldivers 2 isn't just an extraction shooter. A lot of what makes it special doesn't even directly impact the gameplay itself. And it all comes down to how Arrowhead approached the live service model, which I feel like is perfect because it's so wonderfully different than everything else. You see, how the game works is that there's a game master. His name is Joel, we love him. And his job is to steer the narrative of the galactic war while keeping it engaging for the player. And while the game follows a pre-written story, a lot of what happens in between all the major plot points, gonna get back to this later, is up to the players. The defense of a planet, the choice of what front to focus on, the choice of either rescuing innocent sick children or the materials for a new stratagem, and sadly we had to sacrifice those poor innocent anti-tank mines. We all know the fight on Malevolent Creek that lasted a whole month and the memes and legends that came from it. That was a completely unscripted part of the story that happened organically within the community. And when we finally liberated the planet, it felt good in a way that was never meant to be. This is one of the reasons the game is so compelling in the first place, and is honestly the best use I've seen of the live service model, because it keeps players naturally invested into the game, as the game tricks you into thinking there's actually something at stake despite the game following a linear storyline. This, combined with one of the most rewarding and fair character progression systems I've ever experienced, plus, you know, the gameplay, makes the game honestly addicting. No, seriously, I need to go outside. I remember when I mentioned major plot points, well, they cooked like a lot. So, a small recap of the story so far. We activated the Terminate control system, we kicked the bots out of the galaxy, psyched, they're back 3 days later with a 10 times bigger army invading Cyberstan and the surrounding planets. Shortly after, the TCS fails, causing bugs to mutate and everything goes to shit. Meridia turns into a bug super colony, so we start producing an Illuminate technology in an attempt to destroy the planet. We drop in on the planet, we pump Illuminate fluids into it, shut up, and look at that, 3 days later we collapse the super colony into a black hole. It's something which is not going to have unforeseeable consequences. And this is without mentioning all the more minor events like the defense of Tien Quan, which gave us the first mech, the introduction of new enemies, and a lot more stuff. And what's really cool about all of this is that it happened inside the game. When we get new content or there's a major order, there's low reasons for it that are explained naturally inside the actual game. And when we get new enemies, they just kinda start to appear on planets with no mention of them in the patch notes whatsoever. And with the CEO of Arrowhead trolling people on Twitter, saying sighting of new enemies are just dissident rumors, which is honestly some of the most paced shit I've ever seen in my life. This makes the game feel less like a game and more like an actual war. And not just because the gameplay is, you know, this, but because they've managed to create an evolving universe that truly immerses you in the part of the Helldiver, an expendable unit. That is, using the scientific term, really fucking cool. And while the core gameplay is again very fun, what keeps people interested into the game is the genuine sense of curiosity and wanting to know what's going to happen next. And so far, the developers haven't disappointed. In this last segment of the video, I just want to say thank you. Thank you, Arrowhead, for giving us this game, and while you've sometimes messed up, you've given us what is one of the most special experiences in gaming, and I will always be thankful for that. This is my love letter to Helldivers 2. I hope you have a nice day.